everybody, it's Stacie Duffy here, your Denver Metro real estate resource. So maybe you're in this situation, but I have had a handful of clients recently that have hit me up and said, Stacie, I want to buy this type of property. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's talk a little bit more, make sure you're qualified to buy it, all that good stuff. Let's do our homework, and then let's go look at some stuff, and we'll do a learning day. And at learning day, it's things come out of the woodwork. Like, well, here's what we're thinking, and here's how we want to use the space, and maybe I'm thinking about this. I'm like, okay. If you are in a state of relationship or emotional turmoil, I do not recommend buying property right away, okay? And this is, I don't know why, I don't know. I know 2020 was a rough year. 2021 seems to be a lot worse for some people. But I've had a handful of people that are just in this situation right now where they call me and then they look at one type of property and then their relationship status changes, or maybe some things are kind of on the rocks and they were looking at property to think that would solve the problem. Well, then something changes, or they get in a fight or whatever, them and their partner or spouse, and then they call me and they're like, okay, well, now I want to look at something else. And then they're like, well, maybe we're going to fix it and we want to do this. And I'm like, okay, guys, take a deep breath. Practice this with my 3-year-old a lot. Breathe in, breathe out. What's really going on? And I'm not your therapist. I don't need to know your private business. Some people just like to vent, and I get that. But inevitably, my answer is typically, maybe you should rent for a while. Because whenever you are in this position of, I'm not sure what's going to happen, I might want this, I might want this, usually what it comes down to is, I don't know what I want, but I can't live here right now. I need out. I need to live somewhere else. This is not working. I need out. If you are in a, I don't know what I need, but I need out situation, that is not the time to look to buy a property. For most people. Because what I would hate is for someone to call me, and I tell my clients this, is I would hate for you to say, okay, you know what? I want to go buy a townhouse because that's going to work just for me, and then I'll figure it out later. Like, that's cool. So what happens when you figure it out 9 months from now, and then you call me to sell that townhouse, which, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to do. That's what I do for a living. That's how I make money. But I don't think that's a good use of your money, because there's costs associated with buying and costs associated with selling. And sure, in a recent market situation, the market can appreciate enough to cover those costs in 6, 9, 12 months, which is nuts to me, but that's how it's been for a little bit here. That's kind of risky. So if that's what you want to do, and that's a risk you're willing to take, and those are costs you're willing to incur to have someone help you find a place to live, because that's really what you're paying me to do, is help you find a place to live, that's fine. I would hate for you to spend, $10,000 in closing costs on the buy side and another $20,000 in closing costs, or $30,000 on the sell side, just because you were like, I don't know what to do, but I can't live here and I need to go live somewhere else. That is not a good use of your money. Okay, that is much more expensive than going and renting an apartment for 6 months, or renting a house, or doing a long-term Airbnb or corporate rental or something like that. Okay. So, and also when you do buy something, you bought it in a different emotional state. It wasn't a true evaluation of what your needs were. And a lot of times it's just rushed. And then you regret the decision a month, 2 months, 3 months later. You put up with it for 6 months and then you call me. Okay. I don't want to help anyone put themselves in that situation. I would much rather help them get the current need of, I don't know what to do, but I need out. Let's get that resolved. For people who have owned property, going back to renting is a really hard pill to swallow. And so that's why they hesitate. And that's why they're like, well, I need to buy something else. That's fine. If you're going to keep it for a rental property and you're like, hey, I don't know, I can go buy a condo, and then after I'm done with it, I can rent it out because I can just add it to my investment portfolio. Fantastic. Totally works. That's one of the few situations where I'm like, okay, let's go find you something. It's a short-term situation, and then you're going to keep that and rent it out later, and it's a win-win. Fine. But most people, if you're not in that situation, or you don't have the finances to cover that, or you're not going to keep investment properties, and you don't have a stupid, rapidly appreciating market that can cover all those costs, not to mention the stress, because buying is stressful, selling is stressful, and you're already in a stressful emotional situation. Let's not add to that. Then a lot of times it's like, even though you've owned property, take a deep breath, realize what you really need is, okay, if you need somewhere else to live, let's find you somewhere else to live. But let's understand it's probably temporary, and not spend an arm and a leg just so I can help you find it. And then you can end up paying me a lot of money just to listen to you talk while we're looking at properties, and you end up paying for therapy. I am not a qualified therapist. I'm not. And paying me, to buy and sell property as a means of therapy is a very expensive means of therapy. And there are people much more qualified to do that work for probably less money. So it's just a weird thing. And I know this is a weird topic, but just because you've owned something, don't feel like, hey, if I need to live somewhere else, I got to go buy something else. It's okay to rent. It's okay to realize that, hey, my cost of renting, it's not flushing money down the toilet. It is buying me time to clear my head and realize what I need. What you're paying for is options and flexibility and time. That's not a bad thing. Okay, don't feel like it is. And chances are it's going to be a lot less on the rentings to do that renting than it is to buy and sell another property, because that's going to cost you a lot more and it's going to be a lot more stressful. So anyway, I'm curious, if you've been through this type of situation, or if you're another realtor that has clients like this, leave a comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know how it went. Or did you regret buying something when you shouldn't have? Did you rent and you regretted not buying? Or I would love to get some feedback. I've just had a bunch of clients, not a bunch, but a handful recently that have come to me in a very short period of time with this. And inevitably, I'm like, guys, I'll show you whatever you want to look at. I just don't think this is the right move for you. So, and so far, both of those had said, after some time to process, 2, 3, 4 weeks, they're like, you know what, I think you're right. I'm like, that's cool. I don't want to be right. I just want to make sure that whatever, let's do what's best for you. And I don't want to waste a bunch of your money. So leave the comments down below. I'd appreciate it. If this was helpful, or, you found it interesting, hit the like button. I'd really appreciate that too. And if you're looking to buy or sell in the Denver metro area and you are not in this state of mind and you are settled and calm and collected and decisive on moving forward on purchasing or selling a property, I would be happy to help you. My contact information is on my website. Link for that is down below. So anyway, thanks so much for the time and have a great day.